Thanks for joining me on the Ghanaian Farmer YouTube channel. My name is Enyonam and Happy New Year to all of you. The planting season in Ghana is officially starting from the month of March, going all the way into April. You see tractors moving here and there, helter scatter, cultivating and preparing land for the planting season. So this year, we have done potato last season at Sege. I will bring you the report because a lot of you have been bugging me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. How did it go? Yes, we did it, but we had a few challenges. Of course, it wasn't 100% smooth. That I must say, we encountered a lot of challenges. Inconsistent rainfall patterns caused us the size we were expecting. Rats and mouse and rodent ate what they can eat, and a lot of things. But today, standing next to me is Ted Kerry. He's an expert in the area of sweet potato, and he's been in Ghana since 2010 up until now, and he works a lot of research institutes. So I'm going to tap a bit into his expertise and work he's done so far. Ted, thanks for joining me. And nice meeting you.
Yes.
So which country are you originally from?
I'm from USA.
USA.
Yeah.
All right. So what brought you into Ghana?
Well, I spent most of my life living outside of USA.
Okay.
So when I went for my education, I made sure that I had a career that would let me work internationally.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been working in international agriculture.
Right.
I was posted in South America, Colombia, Peru, Kenya, and then finally Ghana.
Ghana.
But I was also a professor at a university in the United States,
Okay.
working in horticulture, more diversified, not
Right.
only on sweet potato.
Okay, so when you arrived in Ghana, which institutions have you worked with?
I worked for the International Potato Center, and we were posted at the CSIR Crops Research Institute. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's where I was in Fumesua.
Fumesua.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we've been to Fumesua somewhere
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So, what do you make of potato production in Ghana?
Oh, I think, we spent a lot of time promoting orange-fleshed sweet potato. The reason why is because most of the sweet potato, the traditional sweet potato in Ghana, which is very good, is white or yellow flesh color.
Okay.
And it's often used for frying or as ampesi, but it doesn't have orange color, which the orange provides vitamin A, provitamin A to small children. And it's very, very nutritious. Okay. And there is a general problem of micronutrient deficiency or vitamin A deficiency, particularly in the north. So, a lot of development work goes around trying to promote this type of sweet potato. Now, so that was the main focus. Okay. Of course. And so what happened is that it's fine to talk about household consumption, but farmers don't tend to really be super interested if they don't have a market outlet.
Exactly.
And so the process has been one of developing markets also. So the idea of value chain has become much more important.
Right.
And so that's why it's such a pleasure to work with this farm. Maflix Trust Farm, because he has commercial outlets, and he's also working he had a few challenges. Certainly in his first year he had challenges, but he continued and he continued and he continues. And we're standing in a screenhouse full of planting material of a variety that he even imported from overseas. Yes. But it's adapted here, and he's going to get it registered here for sure, working with the CSIR, Crops Research Institute, and the relevant authorities. Right. Using all sorts of best practices, you can get good yields. Okay. And water is of course important, right? Rainfall, you have to rely on the gods to provide you with the with the water. But if you have irrigation, if you have access to water, then you have a good form of risk management. But this here is planting material which is going to go into the field.
Okay. Yeah. How are the Ghanaian farmers welcoming the idea of growing a new variety instead of the local Ghanaian variety? How are they accepting it?
I think it's very fine. I
Okay.
mean, honestly,
Mm.
market is key,
Okay.
right? And of course, variety is key. There
Mm.
is an orange variety that
Mm.
has been around for a
Mhm.
long time.
Mm.
It was acceptable, but it has some challenges.
Okay.
Varieties, the thing about breeding varieties is,
Mm.
you always find out that there's one that's doing fine,
Mhm.
but it has some challenges.
Okay.
So, now there are more options
Okay.
for the orange type of sweet
Right.
potato, and there and so as long as you have varieties that
Mm.
can really yield
Mhm.
something and people know how to grow it
Mm.
and they have a market,
Mm.
then they're in good shape.
Okay.
And the awareness of
Mhm.
the orange type of sweet
Mm.
potato
Mm.
has grown significantly.
Mm.
Everybody knows about it.
Okay.
Even a place like Nyangpala
Mm.
in the north,
Northern
Tamale,
region.
where
Yeah.
they were working, is commonly available now.
Okay.
Whereas years ago it wasn't.
Yes.
And then if you ask people what they prefer, taste and preference changes with the course of time. It does. So you can say, oh, everybody rejected this type. But after a few years, after exposure, after awareness creation, acceptance changes as well. So it's a process. And I'm very happy to see that Ghana is at a jumping off point. I mean, it's at an acceleration stage for this crop. And I'm
Okay.
really happy about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aside the nutritious value of the
Yeah.
orange flesh,
Yeah.
what other advantage does it have over the local variety?
It may not have much of an advantage, right? I
Okay.
mean, so a farmer will often look at what am I going to make money on,
Yeah.
right? And if I know that
Mhm.
when I go to the market, let's say my market is here near here, like let's say Akachi, right? They go there, and then the people see I have orange, they might say, you know what? I don't really want that one. I want the one I know,
Yeah, the
because the
local one.
people who are going to buy it want the one, and who's going to buy it from them? Some friars. They're going to buy it in
Yes, and
another
fry the
market,
roadside.
and if it's soft and it soaks oil and it produces a type of a fry that they're not used to, then they reject it. But that requires then working with the friars to educate them. How do you actually handle this thing? How do you market it properly? So that's, to me, that's been,
Okay.
it's an integrated process, right?
Okay.
You have to work to make sure there's demand, and you also have to work to make sure that there's supply, and because otherwise, well, you're growing it for your household to take
Okay.
care of your baby and so on.
Okay.
So yeah.
Looking at the amount of work and investment that goes into the foreign or the exotic one versus the local one, which one do you advise farmers to actually start off with? Assuming I'm a new farmer, as
Right.
an expert, which one would you advise to start
Right.
off with?
Well, I guess the first advice is to have an idea where you're going to sell it.
Okay.
Right?
Your
So
market first.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Then you decide what you need, right? I mean, then you decide. For example, they could talk to Mathlix Trust. And Mathlix Trust, if they talk with him, might say, you know what, I really want you to be working with me. It could be that, on the other hand, that and then he has some varieties that he wants to grow. And then he can also provide the planting material of the varieties, right? It could be that there are other markets too.
Okay.
As I mentioned,
Yeah.
the market
The
in
women.
Akachi, the women, and so on. So you just have to have an idea, right?
Okay.
There are also small processors, there are small scale processors. We're very hopeful that we're going to develop the orange flesh type as a product made from the orange flesh type, which is called puree.
You mentioned about how much a lot of work is there in a value chain
Yes.
for
Yeah.
people to actually
Right.
work with.
Right.
Now,
Right.
my last question would be the numerous challenges that
Right.
farmers who heard about orange flesh,
Yes.
the high market demand about
Yes.
it,
Yes.
and they are tempted to invest money.
Okay.
However, upon the first attempt,
Yeah.
the challenges that we are slapped
Okay.
with
Okay.
breaks your heart. In
Yeah.
fact, it makes you don't want to
And
try it again.
it breaks your
Exactly.
pocketbook too.
Yes. So why are we encountering these challenges? Do we need
Okay.
some special
No.
skills or
Well,
knowledge to be able
I
to do well in this?
First of all, I think that the best advice to anybody is start small.
Uh-huh.
Okay? The growers of sweet potatoes now, the ones who are growing the traditional varieties, they also grow small scale mostly.
Okay.
So somebody with a big investment comes in, I want to grow a lot, I can get land. And another most important thing is the rain, right?
The rain.
So start small and make sure you have a water source. I mean, that would be really good, right? Sweet potato is a drought tolerant crop, but it's also not forgiving. It doesn't forgive. And so you get experience, you start small, you get experience, and then you grow. And then the only way you get experience is by doing it, right? So it's all very well. You have an agricultural podcast. But there may be a conflict of interest there, right? In other words, you need to do a lot of things. You need to go around and see a lot of really interesting farms. And then you want to have a 45-acre sweet potato farm. So, you know, either you need to have somebody really good and committed who's working with you to split the profits or something like that, you know?
Thank you very much, Ted. All right, so that's it. I hope you've learned a thing or two, but we'll catch up with Ted some other time and have a detailed tidbits about how to go about your orange flesh cultivating. See you some other time.